Hello, everybody. This is Aaron Masliansky, and we're about to listen to the next podcast here on Inside the Skev. I just want to remind everyone to please subscribe so you can hear all the latest episodes. And also to remind you that I am a real estate agent. I can help you buy or sell real estate anywhere in the area. This podcast is about Skokie and Evanston and Skevinston, so this is certainly an area that I know and can help you. And give me a call or go to my website, aaronmasliansky.com, or email me at aaron@skevinston.com, or come over to my office over at Dreamtown Realty at 1567 Maple Avenue in Evanston, and enjoy the show. Welcome to Inside the Skev, and I'm your host, Aaron Masliansky. Today we're here sitting down with Lauren Grossman, who is the director of Across the Table, which is an organization here based here in Evanston, Illinois, and we're going to learn about it. So, Lauren, thanks so much for coming on.
Thank you for having me.
It's a pleasure. So, Lauren, we met each other over here at Industrious, where I've met a few of my guests, and today we're taking a look. They're done with the other half of the space, and we've got the library open, which is pretty cool.
Yeah, it's beautiful.
It is. So, tell us a little bit about, your business and what you do.
Across the Table is an Evanston-based nonprofit organization. It's a 501c3. And Across the Table brings together people from different backgrounds and perspectives to have topic-focused, facilitated conversations over delicious meals. We do our gatherings always in groups of 10 to 12, always in a variety of private spaces. So sometimes private rooms and restaurants, but most often all different kinds of other spaces. In fact, we just did our last dinner this past week at Industrious.
Okay.
Upcoming dinners are in the Black House at Northwestern. We had a dinner at an architect's firm. We did a dinner at...
Which firm did you have it at?
Cohen-Hacker Architects.
Okay.
We did a dinner at Seville Flowers last spring.
Oh, that's cool.
We did a dinner at Family Focus recently, at YOU. So a huge variety of different kinds of spaces. We want to give people the opportunity to connect with organizations and spaces in Evanston they wouldn't otherwise be familiar with, and that's part of the experience. So as I mentioned, Across the Table's conversations always revolve around specific topics, and the goals for the topics is that they're a human experience, universal theme. So regardless of anyone's level of education or knowledge on current events, anyone can participate.
How do you pick the people, or do people apply to be part of the meals?
No, it's first come, first serve. Anybody and everybody is invited.
Okay.
So people can register online on our website at acrossthetable.org. Mm-hmm. And if they go to the website, the phone number for Across the Table is also there. They can also reach out to me.
So basically it's 10 to 12 random people that are getting together. 10 to 12
random people. Mm-hmm.
And does it matter what age they are or anything like that?
Well, we ask the people are 21 and over, because alcohol is served at the dinners.
That helps people talk.
Yes. But we've actually had some Northwestern students who are 20 and have come, and it's great.
Yeah.
But adults. So one of the wonderful things about Across the Table is that we do attract a really big variety of ages. And that's a really great thing, because I think often in our day-to-day social lives, our friend groups are typically people of the same ages as we are.
Yeah.
And so it's a really great opportunity to have the chance to have a meaningful conversation with someone who's in a different age group and has a different life experience than you do.
How'd you come up with this? Because you started it, right?
I did. I started it in Chicago in 2008 and ran it there for 3 years before I had kids.
Makes it easier.
Yeah, definitely. And it was really big then. We were doing dinners 3 to 4 times a month all over the city of Chicago. And it grew very quickly. We had great media attention, and it was fantastic. And then I had our now 7-year-old, and we had our second son, and then we moved to Evanston in the summer of 2016.
Okay.
And I relaunched Across the Table in January of 2017. And we just completed our 80th dinner in total. And in November, we had a fundraiser at Farmhouse, which was oversold, and it was fantastic. And we'll be doing our annual fundraiser there again this coming November, on November 2nd. It's already scheduled.
Wow.
They were great to work with, and it was really fun. And it's a large-scale across-the-table dinner.
So you're a nonprofit?
Yes.
Okay. And so you rely on, is it mostly individual donations or is it corporate, or how does that work?
Individual donations and corporate sponsors and business sponsors. Yes.
Okay. And what in your background gave you this idea to have this? I mean, I see you were in education before, so tell us about that.
Sure. So where I grew up I grew up in a very diverse community. My groups of friends were always very diverse. My parents' friends were as well, but I gave it no thought. It was just what life was, and it was normal.
Right.
And then I moved to Chicago, and I lived in Lakeview, and I looked around me, and I was like, what is this place? Everybody looks the same. Everyone dresses the same. Everyone's like the same age bracket. And then at the same time, I was teaching high school English at like Fullerton and Pulaski, so like the northwest side of the city. And my students were predominantly Mexican and Puerto Rican. And I would have really honest conversations with my students around issues of race and socioeconomics. And the world in which I grew up was vastly different from where they did. But we were able to talk very honestly with each other about our different perspectives. And at the same time, we just connected really well. I was really young. I was just out of undergrad. And I had a student say to me once, people always expect us to bond with this teacher because he's Mexican. But that doesn't mean anything. Like, we bond with you because you're real with us and you're honest and open. Yeah. And at the same time, as I was connecting so well with them, I was so frustrated because I looked at my own world and it was very homogenous. And I thought, God, wouldn't it be great to give adults the opportunity to connect in a deep and meaningful way with people whose backgrounds and perspectives are different than their own, but in the context of doing something fun.
Yeah.
And when I taught, I would have conversations, obviously about the literature I was teaching because I was teaching English, but around a lot of these different kinds of themes, like across the tables topics.
Yeah.
So after teaching, I started and ran a nonprofit outdoor education program for teenagers in Chicago. So I ran that for about 5 years, but the idea for something like Across the Table was always percolating in the back of my mind. And I think it was something at the time when I started it in 2008, it was right when Obama had been elected, and issues of race and diversity were very much on the forefront of people's minds.
Right, people wanted to talk about that. I think it's still the case.
Yes, definitely.
Even more so, maybe.
Yes, but, with Across the Table's topics, we always give people the opportunity. All the topics that we have bring up issues of identity, ethnicity, religion, race, how we grew, like the homes we grew up in. But it's not so much that we say, you are going to come to Across the Table and talk about diversity. You're going to talk about race. An upcoming topic that we are doing is, what does it mean to have power? Yeah. Well, we're not explicitly asking people to come and talk about race, but of course, like through the course of that conversation, race would come up. It's inevitable, and it should.
Sure. Race, gender, any of those types of issues.
Exactly. Another topic that we're doing in April at the Black House at Northwestern is, how does the role of money play into our daily lives, our identities, and our relationships? So in that case, socioeconomics really will play into the conversation.
And are you the facilitator of the conversation?
I am often the facilitator, but there are also two additional facilitators so we often co-facilitate. Okay. And sometimes the two of them will co-facilitate together. Sometimes I will co-facilitate with one of them. We mix it up, and they are fantastic.
Yeah. And have they been with you for a while?
Yeah, kind of, like about a year.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. I mean, Across the Table is in its second incarnation, is 2 years old. So
it's still
sure,
fresh.
They've been with me for a while.
Relatively speaking.
Yeah. But they're both very experienced in facilitating and really bring a lot to the organization. I feel really lucky to have them. They've made really great contributions, and it's really wonderful to have ideas that are not just my own.
Right. Yeah. And, and do you stay in touch with the people who come, can people come again if they want to?
Yes, we would love that. People do repeat. I would say at each dinner we have maybe 2 or 3 repeats.
Yeah.
So it just depends on the people. Some people I stay in touch with. Some people come to one dinner and, that's great. And other people do repeat over and over and over again. And that's fantastic.
Right. And what do people pay to come? Or is it totally funded by the donations?
No, people pay to come. It's
Okay.
$30 per person, and they enjoy a multi-course meal. We have a relationship with caterers in Evanston when we do dinners in non-restaurant spaces. So Kinship has been doing a lot of the catering. We'd also worked with Soul and Smoke, which is a part of Feast and Imbibe, and they have done catering for us as well. And so it's $30 per person, and then that covers the cost of the meal. And then we also always offer 2 seats for $10 a person if the $30 is too much.
Well, that's great because that way you can get a diverse mix of people from socioeconomic backgrounds.
Exactly.
Which is key.
Exactly.
And when you're having these meals, is it one large conversation that everyone's having, or are there side conversations happening? I mean, what's it like?
It is one large conversation. It's very structured, facilitated. So as soon as people walk in the door, they're seated at the table with a partner. And in front of them on the table is a partner questionnaire with 5 questions that are personal, but fun personal. So, for example, what does it mean to have an adventure? Or no, that's not, I'm sorry. When was the last time you had an adventure?
Okay.
Or what's something you've done recently that makes you really proud? Things like that. Then 15 minutes in, everyone goes around and introduces their partner to the rest of the group, answering 2 of the 5 questions. So the 2 that really resonated with them. And then 15 minutes in, one of the facilitators or the facilitator, if there's just one facilitator, will lay the ground rules for the conversation. And in fact, it's interesting that you mentioned side conversations, because one of the rules is to not have side conversations, because we would miss out on the interesting thing that you're sharing with the person next to you, and then they would be missing out on what's being said by somebody else at the table. So it's one unified conversation. And that's also why we keep the group so small. So by limiting it to 12 people per dinner, it's absolutely no problem for everyone to have one unified conversation.
Right. I was wondering about that. I mean, even sometimes if you have 4 people, it could be 2 separate conversations.
Yeah.
But I think that's why it's important that you have the facilitators and it's more structured.
Yes.
Did you say how long the meals typically are?
They're 2.5 hours. So,
wow.
So we always leave 15 minutes at the end for people to have the chance to just chat, and if they've connected with someone, through the course of the conversation, if they want to have, a conversation one-on-one with them. But yeah, it's 2.5 hours, and it goes really fast, in my opinion, of course.
Absolutely. Have you ever thought about having any of these programs with teenagers, or obviously not with the alcohol, but doing something with the school district?
Yes, I would love to. And it's actually something that we have explored, and it's a long-term goal. Mm-hmm. It's obviously something we would need to get funding for. But given my experience with high school kids and the fact that Across the Table was inspired by conversations I had with my students, yes, it's something that is actually part of our long-term goals.
I think that's pretty awesome. And so you were a teacher, and then you did Broadtree Adventures. So do you incorporate things from Broadtree, and is that still existing, by the way?
No, that doesn't exist anymore. But
okay.
That's a really interesting question. I actually think I incorporate things from teaching with Across the Table more than Broadtree. Mm-hmm. So although with Broadtree, I had a lot of experience of going out into different communities and developing relationships with other organizations and creating strategic partnerships. And that's definitely something that I do with Across the Table. So I do a lot of outreach into different neighborhoods in Evanston, into different organizations, to try to make sure that anybody and everybody in Evanston knows about Across the Table and feels comfortable and welcome to come. So that's one of my favorite parts of the work that I do.
Well, it's making connections. And why did you choose Evanston to base your business in and live?
So we had lived in Lincoln Square before moving to Evanston, and we just always really loved it here. It's obviously a really beautiful place. It's walkable. We love the proximity to the lake, and we thought it had a great sense of community. So we decided to move here. My husband teaches at North Shore Country Day in Winnetka. And
Okay, so it's not too far away.
not too far away, and yeah, that's where our kids are in school. And then it just kind of came about organically. I was at the point as a mom where I was ready to
Get out the door.
get out the door, exactly. And actually, one of my best friends and one of my board members now kept kind of nudging me, saying, like, maybe you should restart Across the Table in Evanston. Maybe you should do it. Maybe you should do it. And so I decided to take the leap, and it has been so fantastic doing it here. In Chicago, as I mentioned, we were doing dinners all over the city. We went as far south as 79th Street into Rogers Park and West Garfield Park, and it was everywhere.
Yeah.
And that was fantastic because it gave everybody the chance to get out of their little neighborhood bubble. But at the same time, it did not feel like a community organization. On the flip side, in Evanston, it absolutely feels like a community organization. Even sitting here talking to you is the kind of thing that wouldn't have happened as much in Chicago because it was so all over the place.
Right.
Whereas in
Here you can concentrate, right?
Right. Whereas in Evanston, there's a lot more opportunity to develop ongoing partnerships and relationships with individuals and organizations. I find that people seek me out to collaborate with much more frequency than it happened in Chicago because people here think, oh, Across the Table, it's an Evanston organization. We should work together. Whereas in Chicago, I think it just didn't have that same kind of
Didn't have the cachet, or
yeah, it's hard to explain. Like, I don't think it was harder for people to latch onto it. Whereas here, I like to think that it's becoming a part of the fabric of life in Evanston.
I agree. Do you advertise in different places? Are you part of any of the festivals or anything like that?
So we have been a sponsor of the Race Against Hate. And
Okay.
so we were present at that, not last year, but the year before. In terms of advertising, we have posters that I hang up all over the place. We have a very limited budget.
Right.
So you asked earlier about donations and the cost of things. So when people do make donations to Across the Table, part of that does go to our ability to promote the work that we do. So we do have posters that we hang up around town.
Sure.
We've been lucky to have some really good media attention. There was an article about Across the Table in Evanston Magazine and another one in North Shore Magazine. Mm-hmm. And, and also like those donations also go to maintaining our website and, all that kind of infrastructure.
Sure. No, there's a lot of costs to run an organization.
Right. But, our budget is very limited. So the opportunity to be on this podcast is great in terms of marketing opportunities.
It's my pleasure.
So thank you.
I love to be able to promote people who are doing good things. And, I think everyone who's come on and who I have planned would fit that mold. So it's my pleasure to do that for you.
Thank you.
You're welcome. So what are the big events that you've got coming up that people should know about and go and sign up for?
Our next dinner is taking place on Monday, March 4th at 6 o'clock in 5 and Dime. The topic is, what does it mean to have power? Our April dinner is taking place at the Black House at Northwestern on Monday, April 8th at 6 p.m. And the topic is, how does having or not having money play into our daily lives, our relationships, and our identities? And then our dinner in May is taking place on May 1st, which is a Wednesday, also at 6 o'clock, and it's taking place at Booked, which is a wonderful new children's and adult bookstore on Main Street.
Oh,
and
where, Main and what?
It is on Main, just east of Chicago Avenue, on the south side of the street. And I don't know if it's exactly next door to the Lucky Platter, but it's a couple doors down from the Lucky Platter, kind of between the Lucky Platter and Brothers K.
Yeah,
in that
that's
block.
An awesome block. I've rented helped somebody buy something around the corner from there, so I've spent a lot of time on that corner.
It's a great bookstore.
Yeah.
I learned about it because as a children's bookstore, but then when I went in there with my kids, I was really happy to see that they have a really well curated adult section as well.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah. And the owner is fantastic. Her name's Chelsea, and she very kindly offered to open up her doors just for Across the Table, which is going to be wonderful. And the topic for that evening is telling the truth always the right thing to do. And so if people want to sign up for Across the Table, you can visit our website at acrossthetable.org.
And are you on social media anywhere?
Yes, you can follow us on Facebook and on Instagram.
And what's your name on Facebook? And is it just Across the Table?
It is.
Okay. I will definitely,
And
I think I am following you.
And on Instagram, it's Across the Table Evanston.
Okay. By the way, are there any other organizations that do something similar to what you do around the country?
That is a great question. There are organizations that do things that are similar, but not that are comparable. So I've had people in other states call me and ask me if there's programs like this. Like I just had someone ask me if there's something like this in San Francisco. Not to my knowledge, but there very well could be.
Yeah.
I've heard about organizations that do discussion groups, but not necessarily over meals. Personally, I think the meal component is really significant to Across the Table because it's a way to make people feel comfortable, to make it feel less formal, more relaxed.
Well, food is so comforting.
Food is so comforting.
Yes.
Is that healthy? I don't know. But
I think it is.
Yeah,
I mean,
is.
it just makes so much sense. Do you view this potentially as something that franchises out around the country if there really isn't something exactly what you do right now?
Sure. I think there is that opportunity.
Yeah.
And if it happened naturally, then I would say definitely yes. It's not something that at this point I am working to push. But sure, if someone called me from another state and said they wanted to have an Across the Table branch open up in Duluth, I'd say terrific. Come to Evanston. You'll have to, they would need to be trained and it's a very specific model.
Yeah.
So I'd want to make sure if it's replicated, it's done so in a very specific way. But sure.
I think it's a really good solution for, just modern society because we are so, hooked into social media and our phones and everything. And sometimes, we don't stop and talk. And I think that probably makes some of the divisions grow wider. And I love what you're doing.
Thank you. And I definitely agree with you. And it's something I hear all the time, that people feel very disconnected, that people don't have the opportunity to have deep and meaningful conversations through the course of their lives. They may be around people a lot, but not necessarily have the chance to form meaningful connections and have really probing, thoughtful, introspective conversation, and Across the Table provides that.
Well, that's awesome. Well, Lauren, thank you so much for coming on
Thank you.
Inside the Skev. This was fantastic. Everyone, please, follow Lauren's organization Across the Table on social media and sign up for a meal and, tell us what you think. And I'm sure you're going to have a great time. And subscribe to this podcast. Thanks so much for listening, everyone.
Thank you for having me.
You're welcome.
Bye.
Thanks so much for listening to this latest episode of Inside the Skev. If you want to support the podcast, please subscribe on whatever app you're listening to. And also, if you can rate it and share it on social media and tell everyone about it. And if you have a podcast, talk about this one too, because I'd love to get some more people listening. And of course, if you are looking to buy or sell real estate in the Chicagoland area, reach out to me, aaronmasliansky.com or aaron@skevinson.com. Thanks so much for listening.